remarks. I'm the director of the Virginia Minority Business Development Agency's Business Center located in Alexandria, Virginia. On behalf of the president and CEO of the Capital Region Minority Supply Development Council, Sharon Pender, the operator of the Business Center, I want to welcome you to this afternoon's informational Zoom on with the VA, the Veterans Administration, and one of our service-disabled veteran-owned, women-owned businesses that will talk to us today about the VA and how to successfully navigate, the VA, and a success story from a service-disabled veteran, woman-owned business. So at this time, definitely like to give you a little bit about who we are and what we do. The Virginia Minority Business Development Center is one of 45 business centers that is in the Minority Business Development Agency's network. The Virginia Center, actually, on the 9th of November, we did a press conference that talked about us establishing this center. This is the first center in the state of Virginia that the MBDA awarded, and Ms. Pender was the catalyst behind that. And so we have an office in Alexandria with a satellite office in Richmond to cover the entire state of Virginia. In the past, Virginia was split in two. From Fredericksburg North, business centers out of Maryland or Washington, D.C. covered them. And then south of that, they were covered by business centers in the Carolinas. So what we do is business consultation. We're not a procurement office. I like to tell people, be clear about that. It's business consultation where we use a group of consultants where we provide technical assistance in business development, assisting clients with access to capital, all to help increase your revenue, and also helping to secure contracts and doing introductions to agencies, federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies, and industry partners. I run the office with my colleague, Claudia Barrera. The two of us man the Alexandria office, along with Alice Williams, who's a consultant, and Owen Jackson. And then in Richmond, we have Tracy Wiley, who is the former head of the state of Virginia's Small Business Office, and she's a part of our team. Okay. Today, we have two outstanding professionals that will share with us what they do and how they can help, and how the companies can potentially do business either with the Veterans Administration and also possibly even with the service-disabled veteran woman-owned business TAPE that does federal work. I'd first like to introduce Dr. Antoine Brockton. Dr. Brockton is the director of the direct access programs for the VA. He's responsible for all facets of planning and executing of business networking events hosted by the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, to include the National Veteran Small Business Engagement, which is a very significant event that they put on. Dr. Brockton is a technical authority for the Asabu's Office in Strategic Communications. And his scope and authority includes planning, designing, and executing initiatives to educate and help develop veteran-owned small businesses and other firms. So to dispel a misnomer that the Veterans Administration only does business with veterans, he will talk about that. They also do business with non-veterans. So at this time, Dr. Brockton.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Tommy. So a little bit for myself, I am Antoine Broughton. I've been working with the VA's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization since 2012. I am a veteran, having served proudly in the United States Navy for about 29 years. About half of that time was as enlisted, and then I subsequently got picked up for commission. I think if this is right time, I could talk a little bit about the VA.
Exactly, please do.
Great, great. So the VA is one of the largest agencies in the federal government, and we deliver principal programs through 3 administrations: the Veterans Health Administration, the Veterans Benefits Administration, and National Cemetery Administration, as well as various staff offices, including my own, the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, also referred to as OSDBU. OSDBU provides these organizations with acquisition support while also promoting their use of small businesses and procurement strategies. Our mission is to enable small businesses access to VA contract awards with special attention placed on veteran-owned small businesses. Among civilian federal agencies, VA is the only one with unique authority per Public Law 109-461 to put veterans first in small business contracting. In fact, no federal agency spends more with service-disabled veterans than VA, because no other federal agency prioritizes service-disabled veterans like we do. In fiscal year 2020, VA procured $9.8 billion in goods and services from small businesses. A good portion of that money went to veteran-owned small businesses, $7.5 billion to be exact. We want veteran-owned small businesses, VOSBs, to succeed. Our services aim to help business owners understand the acquisition process and how to best take advantage of the support services available both inside and outside the VA. Operating under VA's 4 guiding principles, OSDBU incorporates advocacy, access, outcomes, and excellence into 6 program offices designed to facilitate our mission. We advocate for veterans every day through our acquisition support team, which assists stakeholders with market research and advises VA on best approaches to work with VA verified service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. The Direct Access Program, which is the one I overlease, we connect businesses to education, training, and small business networkers events, while the Center for Verification and Evaluation verifies veteran-owned small businesses. Both grant access to greater opportunities for veterans. And then lastly, we have our Women Veteran-Owned Small Business Initiative, which is singly focused on promoting the growth of women veteran-owned small businesses, leading to outcomes where more women become successful prime contractors. I look forward to today's engagement and ready to get going. Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks very much. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Louisa Jaffe, who is a service-disabled veteran, woman-owned business, president and CEO. She separated from the service in 2002 after being called active duty in response to the events of 9/11, which we're all familiar with. As the CEO and president of TAPE, she manages overall strategic objectives, day-to-day operations, long-term decision-making, employee relations, and strategic marketing. She has spearheaded the company's core capability as program management systems based on ISO 9001 quality processes. She is a member of the Women in Defense, the Women in Technology, and the Retired Military Officers Association of the United States Army. She is the first woman named, in 2014, she was named the first woman Vetrepreneur of the Year by the National Veteran-Owned Business Association and selected as a White House Veteran Champion of Change. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Jaffe. I think you're muted, Louisa. We should hear you now.
You hear me now? Can you see? Can you see?
We hear and see you. We hear and see you.
Thank you very much. Sorry for that little technical glitch. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Mr. Marks, for inviting me to come tell a little bit about my story. I am the CEO and president of Technical and Project Engineering, LLC, known as TAPE, as you mentioned. And I'm very proud to be a veteran of the Women's Army Corps originally, and then the U.S. Army Reserve for 28 years. Thank you very much. I am also a veteran with a business, and I am very, very proud to have been in business now for about 18 years. I like to start my own story. This is as we're speaking today, it's just before Thanksgiving. And I just learned a couple of days ago that my ancestors actually came to these shores in 1630, as far back as 1630, just 20 years, 10 years after the Pilgrims, the original Pilgrims came. And my family has served in the military of this country in every war, starting with the Revolutionary War on forward to the present day. I have a nephew who was in the Marines in Iraq and Afghanistan. But my father is where I like to start my story because he served in the Army Air Corps in World War II. He actually served on the island of Tinian, where he was in charge of loading the atom bomb into the Enola Gay. I'm very proud of that history, but also what he told me about it. And this relates to being in business. He was given a problem to solve. He was an ordnance officer at the time, but he was only told to be prepared to load something of a certain size and weight into a plane. Since he was an ordnance officer, he figured out it was probably a bomb, which of course it was, but he had to plan a whole loading system for something without having ever laid eyes on it. And that's the kind of challenges the government can toss to people to solve. In this day and age, it's the kind of problem industry might be called on to help solve. We don't load bombs into planes at TAPE, but when I met Bill Jaffe over 20 years ago, I was still on active duty at the time, and I was just about to get off of active duty. And when he said to me, don't be so sad that you're not in business, you're not in the Army anymore. Maybe there's another way to serve your country. And he gave me the thought that government contractors can also be serving their country in a completely different way than I did when I was wearing a uniform. And I've come to understand the work that we do is very important. And my father was also in business, and he bought and sold a number of businesses in my lifetime. But he had a basic rule for being in business, and this is what I want to share with you today. And that was, if you want to make more money, you got to sell more stuff. That's the basic rule. In my case, I'm not selling stuff. I'm not a product company. We're a services company. So how do we sell more services? In our case, we have differentiated ourselves on having a very innovative system for program management. And we can deliver that program management over a broad array of different types of projects, from cybersecurity to resource management to training support. We do CETA support. We do program management support of really all types of things. That's what we do as a company. We're very innovative, and we take the approach of focusing on our employees first. We focus on our customers first, simultaneously, and on our teammates. We work very collegially and in a connected way with all of these stakeholders. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak today. I look forward to telling you more.
Thanks, Louisa, very much. So first up, what we're going to do is we're going to bring Dr. Brockton on the screen. And Dr. Brockton, I want to start with, what are some of the Secretary of the Veterans Administration's focus areas that support veteran small business? Can you share with us that? And I know we got really still a brand new administration when you think about it, because they haven't made a year yet, which will be in January?
Well, one of the biggest priorities within VA continues to be providing the service of verifying small businesses who are veteran-owned as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business or a veteran-owned small business. And we do that through our Center for Verification and Evaluation. That process by regulatory time takes about 90 days, but right now we're averaging about 40 to 45 days to get that done. And as a result of doing that, then firms can, those who are verified, can compete for set-aside contracts as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business or veteran-owned small business.
Where can we find where can veteran businesses, or any business for that matter, because I know that we know the VA focuses on veterans, but I know they also do business with non-veteran business. Can you expound on that? Because I get that question. I can't go to the VA from a non-veteran business and do work.
Yes. One of the things we have, we say in OSDB a lot, veterans first, not veterans only. As you pointed out, the VA does business with a variety of firms in different socioeconomic categories, such as 8A, HUBZone, women-owned, small, minority-owned, and things like that. So when you're thinking about doing business with VA, if you're a veteran-owned small business, you can compete for set-asides, but that's only one category of procurement opportunities that we have. There's other procurement opportunities that when you visit our forecasting of contract opportunities, you can scroll through and see the list of opportunities that are pending at that time, or not pending, but that are being posted at that time. And it typically encompasses a variety of small business types. So for example, there's certain acquisitions that we do that we know that a small business can't provide just because of the volume. And that's why, as many people know, not just the VA, but other federal agencies also deal with, large companies.
So if I were looking for the VA strategic plan, their forecast, where would I find that?
I'm going to have my colleague, Mr. Curtis Brandon, put in the chat the location for the VA's forecasting of contracting opportunities.
Okay, that's great. So Ms. Jaffe, it is known that you were awarded the Army's training model as the first woman veteranpreneur. Can you tell us the successes, challenges, a few tips that can be shared with our minority business enterprises on a process for winning this type of contract?
Yes, it's a great question. The Army training models, that is the name of the contract that probably would be better named the Army Training Resource Models. What we do on that contract is we have models that were created by the people in our company, actually when they were formerly with a different company who had the contract, but the same models being updated constantly are still in use now for more than 30 years. And these models are used to help the Army strategize their training budget for a POM cycle, which is, it's called a POM cycle. It's a 2-year budget process. This is something where we are able to do a lot of data analytics to provide the Army with a variety of choices about how to focus their budget. They make the decision. We just are able to help them know what the options are. We did have a little tiny advantage. My late husband, Bill Jaffe, was originally wrote one of the original models when he worked for the prior company that had the contract. Then he left there and was gone for many years and came back around. And when Bill Jaffe and I married and started TAPE about 18 years ago, he was able to understand both the importance of the models and how to apply the models to the Army strategic problems for budgeting. Now, how another company could earn, I don't know that I can address exactly how they could earn win that particular contract. I'm still the prime, by the way, after 14 years. But that type of work it's a matter of learning, getting out there and learning what kinds of programs are around. There are lots and lots of sessions. We've just been hearing about some of the things that are available at the VA and the Army. All of the branches of the military, all of the federal agencies all have wonderful small business departments who can bring you up to speed as to what kinds of programs are going on in their departments or their agencies. I really encourage people to make use of their small business representatives, not only in the government, but also in large businesses. Large businesses also have small business advocates or facilitators to help you get work within large businesses. But it takes a lot of study, first of all, to find out what's going on. And then the main thing is know your own story, know what you do well, be prepared to differentiate yourself. Be prepared to say what is special about the way you manage things from the way perhaps others do. So the best way to win a contract such as that one is to be very good at what you do and understand it, understand how to explain it. And that will be the best way to give confidence to a government customer that even though you're a small business, you're a very competent one. Does that answer the question, Mr. Marks?
Yes, thanks very much. So I've got another one for you. What are some of the challenges as a company you're facing today as a result of COVID, and what methods did you use to communicate with the government? Because we know the government never shut down.
The government never shut down, and I have to start right out and say, so we have several government contracts. All of them were impacted in some way or another by COVID. Fortunately, not all of our contracts, but I will say all of our contracting officers, all of our program managers in the government were truly wonderful about working with us to solve the problems. The problems were different where, for example, on the Army Training Models contract we just spoke about, most of those positions, if not all, could be converted to telework. That was wonderful that the Army was willing to work with us to help people to be able to telework and keep working from their homes or other locations where they were teleworking. But the real challenge came, we also had a number of people, close to 80, I believe, employees on 3 different contracts that where the people had to report to the job. It was something essential to the government, work essential to the government in Department of Homeland Security. One is in the State Department and one for the Navy. These were jobs where the people could not telework. So what we've done is during this whole period of time, we've worked it out for everyone. The government did offer during that period of time something called a PPP loan, payroll protection plan, which was very helpful to small businesses like ours, where it allowed us to pay people even if they couldn't come into work for a while because of COVID. But we've used this whole period of time to look at our own systems, to look at our own training internally, to innovate. We're re-looking at everything internally and externally. It's given us a chance to really dig into we're digging into how to be up to speed on the new CMMC requirements, cybersecurity requirements, our personnel programs, our HR, our benefits. We're looking at everything from the ground up to see if things can be modernized for the new times. One of the things that's happened is life has changed. I think everyone's aware of that, but I don't think any of us know yet how much this will be changed for the future. We've attended conferences such as this one we're on now. I mean, this is not a conference, this is a podcast, but I've attended whole conferences that were virtual. People's personal lives have changed. People go to church now. They used to have small congregations, but they go on a Zoom or a Teams call for church, and there might be hundreds of more people there because it's virtual. This is happening in the government too for their sessions, their industry sessions. They can attract more people, perhaps, by Zoom, but the challenge is that networking opportunity to get together in person with people. So I think that for us, what we've had to do is just stay alert. First and foremost, to make sure our employees were safe and protected and cared for, and to make sure that our customers were continued to be supported no matter what, and our teammates. So it's really kept us on our toes. It's kept us looking at our systems. It's helped us to modernize and to innovate many things about the way we do business, which I believe will carry forward into the future. So I don't want to say that it was an advantage. I would never say that, but we do practice something in our company called asset-based thinking. It's from a book called Change the Way You See Everything by Catherine Kramer and Hank Wozniak. And it talks about whatever is happening to you in your life, you can treat it as an asset or you can treat it as a deficit. That is a problem. And so we just chose to treat the result of the COVID situation as an asset. What can we do to become even better, even though this is here? So that's how we've handled it. And that's how we try to handle all the issues that come to us. We try to take everything that happens and treat it as an asset and find the best way to move forward.
Yeah, I appreciate it greatly. I'm going to ask Claudia, are there any questions in the chat box? And this is time for the audience. If you like to ask a question, I think you can put it in the chat and we will relay it to our two guests.
No questions in the chat.
Okay. So I will ask both Ms. Jaffe and Mr. Brockton, and we'll go to Ms. Jaffe first. Building back better. You know, there's a lot of programs and things that are in the new legislation. What can you tell us about that and how you're looking at that legislation that has come out as you look at your business strategy moving forward?
Thank you. That's a great question also. The Build Back Better theme is something actually I've been working on for many years, in the sense that I designed a learning methodology based on learning science that is to tell a story, to have training that tells a story, and it tells a story about the learner and how they will react and make decisions in certain scenarios. So I believe that the way that my company can help build a better future, I guess, is through performance-based training and thinking in terms of performance. That is to say, learning is based on what a person does, what they can do as a result of training, not what they've learned in their head, but what can they now perform. So I actually learned this concept in the Army when I was in the Women's Army Corps, and I had to have protective face mask training, and I had to step into a gas chamber and put on a face mask and know how to use it. I got the message really clearly that either I could perform or I couldn't perform. And if I could perform, then I could save my life by performing in the correct way. And I decided at that time I wanted to find a way to make that the kind of premise for all training. And that's how I want to build a better future, is to improve the kind of content that's available for distributed learning, like live virtual constructive and other technologies that are used today for training. I want to build much better content that's performance oriented and measurable.
Okay. Dr. Brockton, from an agency perspective, what can you tell us about how the Build Back Better legislation, what's in that for the VA, and what can we as an audience look for?
Well, thank you for that question. I don't have all the details on that, but I do know that one of the things that was mentioned was, facilities and things like that. So as those particular plans are crystallized, you can expect to see them, posted on SAM.gov and via other mechanisms to advertise the fact that the VA has new procurement opportunities related to that.
Okay. Claudia, I thought I saw a flash of a question in the chat from Ms. Jaffe.
Yes, they ask, when do you consider to look at new teaming partners?
Could you repeat the question, please?
When do you consider to look at new teaming partners?
The answer to when do I consider looking at new teaming partners is constantly. I'm constantly meeting with teammates large and small, constantly reviewing the possibilities, and I'm open to anyone who has a good idea that they want to go after something with us. If they've seen something that they can bring to the table, I'm open. I'm always ready to talk to people.
Okay. So Dr. Brockton, for clarity, we know that I think, and you stated this up front, veteran-owned businesses must process and register through your CVE program, correct?
Well, let me make sure I qualify that. So if you want to, if a veteran-owned small business wants to compete for set-aside contracts, yes.
Okay.
Because the verification process is a application process. It's not a certification process, meaning you just say that you are. So I want to make sure that that point is stressed. So if you want to compete as a veteran-owned small business or service-disabled veteran-owned business for set-aside contracts, you must be verified. You could still compete for contracts just as a small business, okay, writ large. However, if you want to compete for set-aside contracts, you have to be VA verified.
Okay, hey, thanks very much. That's very clear. So that means for folks in the audience, for me, that means if I'm a non-veteran, I think he said this already, you can compete for VA, I'm getting ready to say scholarships. Got my granddaughter on my mind. I apologize. Tuition's coming due in January. If you're a non-veteran, you can compete for VA work as a non-veteran. Okay, and I know we have some on the line. Let's see. So we had a question, and I think you answered this, but you can't say it enough. As a minority business enterprise, as a veteran, finding opportunities, what are the key places I go to find opportunities and register in your database? Dr. Brockton.
So let me clarify that too. So when you talk about registering the database, we don't have a database per se to say, hey, look, I want to do business with VA. The database that we have relates to the verified companies. The vendors information page, VIP, lists approximately 14,000 firms in a variety of business lines. That database is available to the public. Now you ask, why is that? Great question. I'm glad you asked that, Tommy. The reason why that database is available to the public, because we recognize that VA is not the only entity that is looking for verified service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. So my colleague here, Louisa, or any business for that matter, if they are looking to partner or find a service-disabled veteran-owned business to talk about business relationships with, they can go to our vendor information pages website, which I'll put the link in the chat here, do a search by whether it be NACS or by names, and then their basic public information is viewable, and then you can reach out to them and pursue a conversation. So that's how, so we talk about, registering a database, we're talking about getting verified and then being on that list.
Okay. Subcontract, does VA maintain a subcontracting database?
No, we do not, but the Small Business Administration, they have a database for subcontracting. In that database, you can put whether you are looking to subcontract with somebody, partner or team, or you have a subcontracting or teaming prospect for a small business.
Okay.
That's another link that my colleague will put in the chat here.
Okay. I'll pause to see if there are any questions in the chat.
There's a question for Dr. Broughton. Are there set-aside opportunities for 8A in the VA?
No, not set aside for 8A, no. The only set-asides that we have are for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses and veteran-owned small businesses.
Okay, and then we have a general question. Do you all have any top tips for small businesses that are just starting their entrepreneurial interests in the midst of this pandemic?
So let's take the pandemic out of the equation for a second. The tips that I would provide to you would be applicable regardless of the pandemic. I think the pandemic did bring about some challenges on connecting with potential buyers, but ultimately, other than that, and how a company operates internally is the biggest thing. So what I would suggest to any small company starting out, when you got started in business, you develop a marketing plan and a plan that talked about how you're going to enter into the market. I would challenge everybody in the sound of my voice to go back and look at that plan and ask yourself, is that plan still relevant? Okay. Your customer is constantly changing. The needs of your customers are constantly changing. So if you develop a business plan that says that I'm going to do work with this particular group, okay, and you have not done a recent assessment to figure out if what you offer is of interest to that group, I would strongly suggest that you go back and do that. One of the things that I see a lot of small business, struggle with is they are good at let's say hanging a shingle, but they need some more time dedicated to be what I call a business science. Be about the business of business. Know your market, know your competition. Operate lean so that you can offer your potential customer the best pricing. Okay, so those are all the things that I would recommend you do. The other thing that I would strongly recommend a company do, and again, my colleague Louisa mentioned this, is as a new company, you want to be a prime contractor. But the do loop is I can't get a prime contract, become a prime contractor because I don't have past performance, but I can't get past performance unless I have a contract. Okay. But there's a simple fix for that. Look for opportunities to either subcontract or team, because then you can legitimately put on your capability statement that you did work in a particular discipline. Now, granted, you're not going to get a CPAR for that as a subcontractor, but it's still relevant past performance. So when you think about your capability statement, think about it just like a resume, okay? And you want to talk, and I tell this to a lot of small business also, size, scope, and complexity. Size, scope, and complexity. What did you do? How did you do it? And how well did you do it? So when you're doing subcontract work or partnering work, make sure that you capture that. If I am looking for a company to do a call center, right? National call center, where you're going to take on average 1,000 calls in an hour. If you present a capability statement that says that you did 10 calls in an hour, your company, and consistently has done that, that's good, but you're not a right fit for what I'm looking for. So that's why those subcontracting, those teaming opportunities will get you in a place to help you be able to say, hey, look, I contributed to doing this. And then you also want to talk about results. Okay. So you did the work. What was the results? Did you help your customer achieve their goals, surpass their goal? If the requirement was to answer calls in 15 seconds, were you answering in 5 seconds? So all those things kind of go back to gaining that relevant past performance. And as a new business, unless you've got something really niche that everybody's got to come to you for, more than likely you'll need to get some time under your belt as a subcontractor or a partner. Thank you, Tommy.
Oh, thank you. That's a very good explanation. And one of the keys to subcontracting is that though you don't get a CPARS from DCMA, what's required is, as a first tier sub, that you should be getting a written statement of what your performance is from that prime that covers those things that Dr. Brockton was talking about. And when you're going for prime contracts at that point, that past performance definitely is looked at by the agencies that you would go after.
And Tom, if I can add one more thing to that, because this is really at the crux of the issue here, the fact that small businesses really need to explore those possibilities. Again, not every subcontracting opportunity, not every partnering opportunity is going to be right for you, right? You got into business because you wanted that creative freedom to build something, to do something. It's understood that when you're a subcontractor or a partner, that you give up some of that, but you have to make a very tactical decision. What's more important? Is more important that creative freedom that may take you a long time to become a prime contractor, if at all, or you want to gain that past performance, build up that history, build up that reputation, become a prime vendor subsequently, and then have that creative freedom that you so desperately wanted, which is why you became an entrepreneur. So really think about that, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be strategic. You have to think about the science of business. Thank you.
Okay. So, Ms. Louisa, you have anything to add to that piece?
Yes, thank you. That's a great subject. There are many things. First of all, I'll say, as far as being a subcontractor, I know people think that they've got to get a prime contract, but honestly, some of my most profitable work has been as a subcontractor. I would say one of the most important skills to hone is understanding your numbers. Understand the components of profit. Understand what we call a wrap rate. Understand your fringe costs for your benefits added on to salary when you bid a piece of work. Understand your numbers. If you don't understand your numbers, then you won't understand how to be profitable. And if you can't be profitable, you won't stay in business. So there are things you can do. You can become verified as a service disabled vet-owned business or a veteran-owned business. I am a service disabled vet, and my company, TAPE, is a service disabled vet-owned verified company. We're also in the SBA, we are a woman-owned business as well. So you can get these certifications, which are very good as a credential. But my late husband, Bill Jaffe, wrote a blog called The Fish Don't Jump in the Boat. And that means you might have a CVE verification, you might be a woman-owned business, you might have an 8A, but that does not mean the contracts are going to jump into your lap. It still requires a process of shopping and marketing yourself and getting out there, and it's a lot of work. The work doesn't come easily, but it is there. And I would say, don't give up. These are harder times in some ways, but they also offer opportunities for the person who thinks of in innovative ways. So think of things you can do is what I would say. Understand how to be profitable doing it, and go out and talk to people and attend every type of there are lots of informational sessions that are relatively inexpensive where you can learn a great deal about what's going on. As I said, the small business advocates all over the country are very, very helpful for every department of government. But I say, know your numbers, understand your profitability. That's the most important thing.
Oh, thanks very much, Louisa. So at this time, what I'd like to do is just one more round to see if there are any questions from our attendees. This is an opportunity that you can ask those questions. If not, if you don't have a question, you have one later, you can send those to us. Once the chat goes off, obviously that'll be closed. But if you go to info, Claudia can put this in the chat, info mbda-virginia.com. After this is over, you can send us questions, and if you think of one afterwards, and we'll get an answer for you. What I want to do, I want to thank my two guests for taking the time out of their schedule, and for everybody that attended today to support us for this informational session. As I stated in the beginning, our office is a business consultation office. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can go to our website, and Claudia will put that in there, but it's www.mbda-virginia.com. And we can set up meetings and talk to you if it's just the first time learning about us. Again, I want to thank both Ms. Jaffe and Dr. Brockton for their time and sharing the information that you did with us. Okay. Ms. Pender is on. Ma'am, you have any words of wisdom you want to share with the group before we sign off?
No, I've just been listening to the outstanding information. And so on behalf of the Capital Region Minority Supply Development Council, we certainly appreciate the time and information that's been shared and the wisdom that's been shared. So thank you very much. And thank you, Tommy, for putting this together today.
Thank you for your support. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Have a, tomorrow really begins the Turkey Day weekend. Don't eat too much, just eat enough. Those leftovers are good on Friday and Saturday, from my memories as a kid.
Thank you so much for putting this together.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
have
much.
A great day. Have a great Thanksgiving. Be safe out there.
Right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.